So what I'm expecting here to happen is that it will go look at my knowledge sources and then try to find an answer that is based on these enterprise resources. I happen to know that there isn't any knowledge that we have on this. So what it's going to do is offer me an option to figure out whether I can get this information from GPT. So you'll see that it gives me a few options here. I could go file a ticket or I could go ask GPT. So I don't want to file a ticket for this. I just want to find out some basic information to orient myself about the industry here. So you can see that it's directly going to the GPT plugin and it's using the information on in GPT-4o's working memory to come up with these list of companies. So these are some great companies that we're all familiar with, and I can quickly get an overview of who are the biggest players in this. Um, Now, because I'm trying to pitch an AI solution, I also want to understand like what are the considerations for AI products in the energy industry. So here, let me do something different. Here, I'm going to invoke the Quick GPT plugin directly and ask GPT to give me some talking points and some things to consider as I'm pitching my solution. So here you can see that it's directly going to the GPT plugin and it's going to generate a response with a list of things that I should consider when I'm talking to customers in the industry and what they might care about. So we can see that we get a pretty good list of concerns from data management and quality, integration, scalability, obviously security and privacy, regulatory compliance, and so on. So this quickly helps me validate some of my assumptions and also helps me catch if there was anything that I hadn't picked up earlier. Now, I could also have an authoritative source or a document that I want to analyze to make sure that I am covering all the bases. So for this, I'm going to switch to brief me, and I'll bring up this report um, that was published by the Argonne National Lab. So I'll show you what this report is. So this seems to be a pretty intensive overview of AI applications in energy. It's a 70-page file. So I'm going to just upload that into the AI assistant and I'm going to ask a couple of quick questions about this. So here, as you can see, I indicated that I want to ask questions about this file, and it's uploading this and processing it for me to be able to ask questions of it. And it's going to take a few seconds, given that it's sort of on the larger side, but for shorter documents, it can happen a lot more quickly. Now, you can see that automatically I get some suggested questions to ask. In case I didn't have a particular question, I could just very easily click on any of these buttons and be on my way. But I do have a specific questions. So I want to know which AI applications are actually mentioned in this report so that I can see whether there's anything that I need to dive deeper into. So it's now consuming all the information that is in this file and it's producing a response that's just based on that. Um, so Okay, this is a pretty interesting list. Scheduling and dispatching, stability and safety, coordination, predicting rare events. That's something that I hadn't thought of. But in a lot of utilities and critical infrastructure, there can be very rare events that happen only once in a blue moon, but they can have a large impact. So, okay, that's good to know. Cyber physical security and a lot of other cool things here. Um, Now, let's say that I wanted to dive deeper into one of these things. So I've heard that the company that I'm looking to talk to is in the electric utility business. And I know that with the recent issues with electric systems and fires, et cetera, I would just like to understand, like, what are some of the challenges facing companies that operate power grids? So for this, I'm going to lean to Quick GPT and ask, hey, can you give me some examples of vulnerabilities in power grids? And I can just get a quick answer based on the knowledge that GPT has about this topic that allows me to consume this information quickly and be on my way. So cybersecurity threats, physical attacks, etc. That's a pretty comprehensive overview, and I can use this information now and prepare for my call and have have a great call with my prospect. Now, I want to switch gears here to do something a little bit different. Teresa mentioned earlier that she's found the productivity boost features very useful for her work. So one of the things that we face on a day-to-day basis is that our products are very impactful, but they are sometimes complex to explain. So I'll give you an example of such a product. There's some of you may be familiar with our triage product. Now, we have a document that our team has written, which is about the next generation triage architecture. So I have it over here. This is a technical doc written by engineers, and we want to see how we can create a blog post that talks about this. So you can see I uploaded this document here, and I'm gonna again use BriefMe to get me started. So again, I get some of these recommended questions, but what I'm really interested in is writing a blog post that's based on this technical doc. So I'm not going to start out by just creating a full draft, but I want to first structure my thoughts and say, can you propose an outline for this blog post based on this technical doc? And I specify that it should highlight why this technology matters even for a non-technical audience. So this will then again go into the document and it will take the key points and then it'll produce an outline that I can use and fill in details from different parts of this doc. So let's give it a few seconds here. Okay, great. I got this outline. So as you can see, starting out by an introduction, like why is this important? What is the current challenge in the previous generation of our triad system? We introduced a new architecture, and then so on, so forth into the real world impact, dynamic adaptability, and broader customer reach, right? So this is pretty good, and I can really just take this outline and feed different things into it to create my blog post. Now, I do notice here that we're talking about the embedded nearest neighbor approach. I think I've heard this term before, but I want to understand exactly what this means. So I'm going to switch to Quick GPT and ask this question. This paragraph that you see here is actually directly taken from that document, where we talk about how the embedding nearest neighbor approach is used with the MPNet model. Okay, that sounds good, but explain it to me like I'm in high school. Like, what does this actually mean? So here, I just take an excerpt from the document so that I can simplify it and use it for as part of my draft. Um, and this is going to do, as you can see, a pretty concise approach which explains, breaks it down into what is an embedding, what is the nearest neighbor, and how you would apply it. So that's pretty good, and I can like now merge this with my outline and produce a draft containing these concepts in an easy to consume form. All right. Let's maybe switch gears to something that all of us have to do on a day-to-day basis, right? Um, I spend a lot of time talking to candidates for different positions at the company, and sometimes I may not be the expert on what they do. So here I have a scenario where I want to get an understanding of what questions I should ask about a candidate. So I was given this resume about a candidate who is interviewing for a program manager position at our company. So I uploaded this into BriefMe, and what what I want to get from this is um, I want to get a list of questions that I can ask this question for this candidate for this program manager role. So I'm going to ask for like 5 suggested questions to assess his technical expertise, because it's really important for me that when I work with this person, they are really good at understanding the ins and outs of the project and we can execute successfully. So yeah, so this comes back with a list of techniques that are really based on the things that they've done in their role. And you can see that it mentions the companies that they've worked at, what technical challenges did they face. That's good. I can use these questions. Now, one of the things I run into quite a lot is that I have limited time and I really want to get the data points that I need for the interview so that I can debrief with other interviewers later. So um, I want to get some interviewing tips to make sure that we cover these questions in 30 minutes. So let me go ahead and ask Quick GPT to give me some tips on how I can do this really quickly. Um, so what it's going to do is, again, using the knowledge and the information that's present in the GPT-4o model, it's going to create a list of tips for me, and that I can use as a reference when I'm going and interviewing the candidate. Okay, so this makes sense. I should prioritize the key questions. Maybe I should keep an allocated time for each question. This list looks good. Now, it's telling me to prioritize key questions. This is great. But which of the questions out of the ones that it gave me, should I prioritize? So I'm going to say, Quick GPT, that's great advice, but tell me which question should I prioritize based on, this framework. So what it's going to do is essentially take the list of questions that it provided earlier, and it's going to um, give those questions back to me in an order so that I can go in and approach the interview in a structured manner. So it's telling me that I should focus first on project management methodologies and technical challenges, which makes a lot of sense. And then a stretch goal for my interview could be that I could go and deep dive into their data analysis techniques and make sure that if needed, they can go and do the analysis needed independently to make the project successful. So as you can see, within just a few minutes, I was able to get a pretty actionable set of insights and information by using simple documents and by using the information and tips from the GPT model here. Now, um, as the last part of this quick demo, we mentioned that we are adding calendar management as one of the features for as part of the productivity views cube, and it is in development. But I wanted to give you a sneak peek of a very simple use case of how this might work. So here I'm looking to book a meeting with two of my colleagues, Jake and Ian, um, and I want to have the meeting with them this week. So I just told told the assistant to go find some slots and come back to me with options. So here it's going and reviewing all three of our calendars, and it's going to propose some times for me. Okay, so it gave me some times, later this morning. But let's say if I wanted to change my mind and said, actually, uh, can you make this Monday instead? So you can see that on the fly, I can ask it to change the parameters that I've given it, and now it's going to go and fetch another set of meeting slots for Monday instead, and it'll return those back to me. And once those slots are returned, it'll ask me whether I like the slots that are offered and whether I want to go ahead and schedule that meeting. Okay, so let's say I want to give Jake and Ian a little bit of time to settle into their day. Say that let's do 10 to 10:30. So now it's going to go ahead and prepare that meeting invite and ask for my confirmation to schedule that meeting. And once it's scheduled, then we can go in and look at the calendar and see that it's actually done that on my calendar. So let's go ahead and do that. It'll take just a few seconds as it goes into our Google Calendar instance and creates the meeting. And once it's done, it's going to provide me a link that I can click and see that meeting scheduled on my calendar. All right, great. So that it's done that here. I can go and view the details of that event here. Actually, it's on this calendar. So